All right, today we're jumping into a case that haunted New York for decades, the Long Island serial killer. It's a mystery that seemed absolutely unsolvable, until it was cracked by, of all things, a piece of trash. So, let's get into how this whole thing went down.
You know, this quote from Suffolk County's police commissioner, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? It really captures the pure shock and horror that surrounded this case, and it marks the end of this long hunt for a killer who was hiding in plain sight.
So, who is this person being called a demon? Well, in July of 2023, this whole mystery took a jaw-dropping turn. Police arrested a man who, on the surface, seemed to be living a completely normal, suburban life. The kind of guy you wouldn't look at twice. And this is the man at the center of it all, Rex Heuermann, a 61-year-old architect. He had an office in Manhattan, a family at home, and he lived just a short drive from that desolate stretch of beach highway where all those bodies were found.
And this is where it gets really chilling. Just look at this timeline. Prosecutors say he was leading this disturbing double life. For decades, while he was commuting to his job and raising a family, he was allegedly this predator whose crimes stretched all the way back to the early 90s.
So how did this whole nightmare even begin? Well, the story doesn't start with the killer. It actually starts with a search for one missing person that accidentally and horribly uncovered something way more sinister.
Okay, so picture this. It's late 2010, and police are combing through the super thick brush along Ocean Parkway. Now, they weren't looking for a serial killer's victims. They were searching for just one missing woman, Shannan Gilbert. But what they found instead, well, it turned a single missing persons case into one of the most infamous serial killer investigations in American history.
Within just a few days of starting that search, they found 4 bodies. They became known as the Gilgo 4. But as the search expanded, they just kept finding more remains. Right now, Rex Heuermann has been charged with murdering these 7 women, with his alleged crimes spanning almost 2 decades, all the way back to 1993.
For over a decade, the case just went completely cold. The trail vanished. It left investigators totally frustrated, and the community was terrified. But then, in 2022, everything changed. A new task force was put together to look at the case with fresh eyes, and crucially, with new technology.
So how did they finally do it? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was this incredible chain of events, a perfect storm of old-school detective work and brand-new science. It all started when that new task force re-examined an old witness tip from 2010 about a Chevy Avalanche. That led them straight to Heuermann. Then, they connected him to burner phones used to call the victims. And the final nail in the coffin? They literally followed him, grabbed a pizza crust he threw away in Manhattan, and boom, his DNA was a match to a hair found on one of the victims.
And beyond the physical evidence, investigators found this absolutely damning digital trail. I mean, sure, he allegedly used burner phones and fake emails to hide who he was. But the most chilling part? His obsession with his own case. He searched for information on the Gilgo investigation more than 200 times. He even Googled, why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been caught? Just wild.
So, 92. What's that about? Well, that number is exactly why police took such extreme caution when they finally arrested him. They didn't go to his house. They arrested him right in the middle of busy Manhattan. Why? Because Rex Heuermann legally owned 92 firearms, and they needed to take him by complete surprise.
But believe it or not, that pizza crust was just the beginning. The prosecution's case really hinges on some seriously cutting-edge science. We're talking about technology so new it had never been used as evidence in a New York courtroom before this.
That technology is called Whole Genome Sequencing, or WGS. Okay, think of it like DNA analysis on steroids. Traditional methods, they need a pretty good amount of high-quality DNA. But WGS, it can build a full genetic profile from a single, tiny, degraded strand of hair from decades ago, which is exactly the kind of evidence they had from the Gilgo crime scenes. It's a total game changer.
And this technology led to a massive court decision. In what's called a landmark ruling, a judge decided that this powerful new evidence is reliable enough to be shown to a jury. Now, this is a huge deal. It not only makes the case against Heuermann way stronger, but it could completely change how cold cases are solved all across the country.
So look, the Gilgo Beach case is so much more than just another shocking true crime story. The way it was solved and its conclusion are going to have a ripple effect on our justice system for years and years to come. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, its impact is huge, and it's on a few different fronts.
First, legally, it sets this massive precedent for using new DNA tech to solve cold cases. Socially, it's a tragic, awful reminder of how vulnerable groups, especially sex workers, are targeted by predators. For police work, it's a masterclass in blending old-school tips with new technology. And finally, the intense media focus. We're talking books, Netflix series. It kept this story alive in the public eye, which shows you just how much cultural impact it had.
Which really leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? A killer who allegedly got away with it for 30 years was brought down by a single hair and a piece of pizza. As technology keeps advancing like this, you have to wonder, how many other secrets from the past are just waiting for science to unlock them? Thanks for watching.